and welcome to another video of Terraform. My name is Tia Leonard from DevOps Easy Learning, and today we'll be going through how to install and configure AWS CLI on Windows operating system, right? And just for Terraform purpose. Because let's say it's just your first time that you are struggling to learn Terraform. The first thing, if you kind of want to run Terraform in AWS, you need to make sure that you download the AWS CLI that you are going to use to access the AWS API, and make sure that you set up an IAM user with the proper credential, download the access key and the secret access key, configure your AWS CLI, and you will be ready to go, because that's how Terraform basically authenticate to AWS. Now, if you click on this gear icon here, it's going to take me in my GitHub repository, and I'll also make sure that I put the link of this repository in the description below of this video, so that if you want to go ahead and follow the same step, you can go ahead and do so. Here, basically have a link here on how to install AWS CLI. What we are going to do is what we're just going to download the MSI package from AWS documentation. And once that is done, we'll go ahead and install that and just go ahead, create an IAM user and configure that properly. If you click on this link and just say open to new tab, so you guys can see it's taking me to AWS documentation, where I will have how to install the AWS CLI on Linux, on Mac, and also on Windows. Right now, we are just interested on Windows, and if you want to know how to install that on Linux and also on Mac, please let me know in the comment below, and I will go ahead and create a video just for that. Now, if you click here on Windows, you guys can see here that we're going to use the CLI to do that, right? But the easiest way is basically to download the MSI package. This is the MSI package. If you click here, as you guys can see, it is downloading here, and when that is done, we'll just go into our download folder, and the MSI package will be there ready to install. Let me go ahead here and go to my download folder. As you guys can see here, this is the MSI package that I have on my download folder. You can go ahead and just double click, and right now it will be like really easy to install. Say welcome to this. We can go ahead now and just click next, and you accept the term and condition, even though I know that we never, I myself, I don't read this, right? Just say next, and just go ahead and accept and install. While this is going on, we'll go ahead and kind of set up an IAM user that we are going to use to configure the AWS CLI. Let me hook over to my account here. I've logged in already in my account, and I'm going to create a new IAM user and give this user the proper permission to run the proper permission to create everything in AWS, right? You can basically restrict that to a particular resource if you want, but the user that I'm going to create, I'm going to give the user admin permission. Let me go ahead and do so. I can just click here on Identity and Access Management. And right here, if I click on users, you guys will see that I have a couple of users here. I have some like myself, another one called Terraform. I'm going to create a user called example. And also, if you click on a group to see, currently I have a couple of groups here, like admin group, S5 group, and also Terraform group. And if we try to check Terraform group, you guys will see that a user called Terraform is there. And if we try to check like permissions, it looks like there is nothing that means basically restricted everything here. But let us go ahead here and create a new user, and I will call that user example. If I click here, I can first of all even create a group, because the right way, if you want to do stuff right, just make sure that you follow the proper way. Create a group. That's what AWS basically recommend, that you should go ahead and create a group, and you attach the policy to the group, and you go ahead and add a user into your group. And when you add that user in, all users that you are going to add in the group is going to kind of inherit the permission of the group. And you don't need to kind of attach a policy to a specific user that will call that inline policy. Now, let me go ahead and create a group. I'll create a group, and that group, I'm going to call that group tests, and provide AWS. I'll go ahead now. I create I click on user instead of group. Let us go ahead and create a group, and I'm going to call that group tests, and go to next. It's asking what access level do we want. I am going to give AWS admin access. When we say admin access, this means this user can do everything in AWS, right? And that is what we choose. That's what we choose. I want Terraform to be able to create everything. We can always restrict that and give this user access to some specific resources if we want. Now, I'll go ahead and as we assign the permission, I'll go ahead and create a group. Now, if we kind of click on the group test and go to permission, we can see that this group here have admin access level. Now we'll go ahead and create our user, and our user will be called example, right? As I have the user Terraform or a user called automation. Create a user. I'm going to give this username automation. And do we really want this user to have access to the console? Yeah, if you want to do so, you can go ahead and click, but normally a user Terraform should not even have access to the console because everything that this user will be doing is through the CLI. I'll go ahead here and say next. I'm not going to go ahead and give access to the console. And here I'm going to add that user in the group test so that it will go ahead and kind of inherit the permission of the group. Now go ahead and kind of click on next, and here I will go ahead and create the user. As you guys can see here, the user called automation is being created, and if you click on that user here, we can see that that user, the permission is admin, and that user can belong to the group called test, right? And the last thing that we need to do now is kind of create the secret and the access and the secret access key for this user. If we kind of click on user and go to choose that user called automation, we can see here that we can go to the security credential. We can enable MFA here, right? When you enable MFA, if this user basically have access to the console, that means it will be using multi-factor authentication. That means you might use a Google authenticator to kind of go ahead and you can use the Google authenticator, right? When you want to log in, that's what we call that two-step authentication. Now, what I'm going to do now is just to create an access key. If you hit on access key, I will just say command line and just confirm that I want to do that and say next. And here, the description, I'm not going to provide anything. And AWS will ask you to kind of download this, because if you don't download this, you won't see this secret access key the next time. First thing, go ahead and kind of download this CSV file, right? Now, let us go ahead now, go to our local and see the AWS CLI was installed already. And I can click on finish. And I can go here and pull out any command line that you know on Windows. Let's say if you're using, if you want to just use a command prompt, you can type CMD to your search bar here, and this is going to open the command prompt. And if you type AWS already, you should be able to see something. As you guys can see, it is asking me to kind of configure the AWS CLI. If you're using PowerShell, let's say if you type PowerShell, if you want to use PowerShell, which is just a built-in command line tool that is more advanced than just the command prompt in Windows, right? If you just type AWS, as you guys can see, it is saying the same thing. Now I'm going to use one custom one that I have here called Gig Bash. And Gig Bash here basically allow me to kind of type some Linux command, right? And if you want to know how Gig Bash works, just go to Google and type download Gig Bash. It is a very straightforward process, and you can download that and you install it. And let me go to Google and show you guys what I mean. Just say download and you say Gig Bash. You say Gig and Bash. It's just the first link here. If you hit this one on Google, you can just download. It's as well on Windows. You can just hit this download button and it's going to download the MSI package, and you can just go ahead and install that. Now, I will just have AWS. As you guys can see, we have the same result with the command prompt, the PowerShell terminal, and also the Gig Bash terminal. Now, I will tap the AWS configure to configure my CLI. And this is not even the right way of doing stuff, but I will start like this because I know a lot of people out there that this is what they know. They know the AWS configure to basically add the access key and the secret access key, but there is no need. You don't need to type AWS configure. Let me first of all do it the way that a lot of you guys knows, and I'll go ahead and change that. AWS configure, and here I am going to put the access key and the secret access key. If you hook over to AWS here, and later on, I will go ahead and just delete this user before the end of this video, right? Somebody thinking that he's going to take the access key and access my account, that wouldn't be possible. I can say show, and I can copy the secret key and kind of paste the secret key here. And the region I'm going to deploy in US -is and -1. Please do not add A, because if you add A, that will be that will not be a region no more, but it is going to be availability zone. Be very careful with that. And if you put A there and you try to run to trigger Terraform, you are going to run into an issue, because that is not going to work. Terraform, no, you need to specify a region here and not availability zone. This happened to me in the past. Be aware of that. And the output, I'm going to just say JSON. And here we are done. Now, if you say AWS and just say S3LS to see if I can list all the buckets that I have in my account. Yeah, that is cool, which means we basically configure our CLI properly, right? We configure this thing properly. Now, what happened is that when you set up your AWS CLI on Windows, it is going to create, if you go to PC, go to my C drive and kind of look for you see your user, see here, under users, you look for users and your username. This is mine here. You guys can see here that it will create a folder here called .aws, and in there we'll have the config and we'll also have the credential. Now, look at this. If you go ahead, I'm going to open this one in VS Code, you guys will see that those will see exactly the information that we punched earlier. Let me open this in VS Code. As you guys can see here, we are seeing the region, the output, which is JSON, and here we are seeing the default profile, and here we have the access key and the secret access key, right? If you guys really want to understand what is this as default profile, right? How we can kind of use Terraform to deploy in multiple environment. How can we set up our AWS CLI, our profile here to deploy Terraform in multiple environments? That means we'll have multiple profile here for multiple environment, which means multiple AWS account, right? Please let me know in the comment below, and I'll go ahead and create another video where I'm going to show you guys how to properly set up your AWS profile, different profile here, right? Like a dev profile, a QA profile, a stage profile, a production profile, where those profile points to different accounts, and you can switch between profiles here to deploy in multiple AWS accounts, right? Let me know in the comment below if you are interested. Now, this basically works. Now, let's say next time, if you really want to change your access key and the secret access key, what are you going to do? There is no need. You don't need to go in here every time. You don't need to go to your command line every time and type AWS configure. You can just come in here and you copy the access key, you point it here, you copy the secret access key, and you point it here, and you save this file, and done. You are done, right? And you save it. This is how I usually, let's say I rotate this key right now and I create a new credential. I don't need to type AWS configure again. I know that on Windows, my credential, everything is being stored in .aws folder. I will just go in there and open that .aws folder and make sure that I put the new access key in here and the secret access key in here, and boom, I am already set up. I am all set. That means I won't be going through the CLI and type AWS configure every single time, right? I always type AWS configure the first time so that it will go ahead and create this structure and put the .aws folder so that the next time if I rotate my credential, I don't need to type AWS configure no more. I can just go in this folder here and change that. And also, please let me know in the comment below if you want to see how to install, how to do the same thing on Windows and on Mac OS, and I'll go ahead and create another video just for that. Also, on Windows here, right, you can go ahead here. I basically have a little script here that I put together that you can go ahead and kind of run this script. It is a PowerShell script if you know how to run the PowerShell script. And this will go ahead and install the AWS CLI as a script on Windows. But I would not going to do that, but you can go ahead and try this one on your own. You can go ahead and try that on your own. And that's it for this video, guys. If you like this video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And that's it. Bye-bye.